The British royal family has always been shrouded in mystery, but few scandals have captured global attention like the tumultuous marriage of Princess Diana and Prince Charles. Behind closed doors, their relationship was far from a grand love story. What if I told you that newly leaked letters from Prince Philip to Diana reveal explosive secrets about the royal couple and their turbulent relationship? Let's delve into these letters and uncover the complex dynamics between Diana, Charles, and Philip. When Charles and Diana first met, the world was enchanted. Their courtship began quietly, but once it became public, the media quickly seized the narrative. Newspapers, magazines, and television channels worldwide painted their story as a fairy tale romance. However, the recently revealed letters from Philip to Diana expose hidden truths about King Charles. Before we get into that, let's start at the beginning and understand how Philip became involved in his son's marriage. Diana was introduced to the world as a shy, innocent young woman poised to marry into the world's most famous royal family. On the surface, everything seemed magical, but signs of imperfection were already present. Charles was under immense pressure to find a wife, and Diana, coming from a noble family, appeared to be the ideal candidate. However, their relationship lacked depth and genuine connection. In fact, they spent very little time together before their engagement. For Diana, the sudden attention that came with joining the royal family was overwhelming. Before her relationship with Charles, she had been a young kindergarten teacher living a quiet life in London. Suddenly, she found herself in the global spotlight, with every move scrutinized. She was expected to look perfect, act perfectly, and fit into a royal family steeped in centuries of tradition. Her life changed overnight. The public adored Diana, and her every appearance was met with applause and admiration. But behind her warm smile and gentle gaze, Diana already felt the weight of expectations that would follow her for the rest of her life. On July 29, 1981, the world tuned in to witness what was called the wedding of the century. An estimated 750 million people watched Diana walk down the aisle of St. Paul's Cathedral in a stunning gown with a 25-foot train. It was a moment of grandeur, tradition, and royal splendor that the world would remember for years. To the public, it was a dream come true, a prince marrying his princess in a lavish ceremony. But behind the glamour, reality was far more complicated. Charles and Diana were already facing issues that would later become widely known. Their personalities could not have been more different. Diana was warm, sensitive, and craved affection, while Charles was introverted, intellectual, and more reserved. Their age difference also played a significant role. At just 20 years old, Diana was still discovering herself, while Charles, at 32, had already lived a fuller life shaped by royal duties, long-standing friendships, and the expectations of becoming king. One of the greatest challenges in their marriage was Charles's ongoing friendship with Camilla Parker Bowles, with whom he had a romantic relationship years earlier. Even as Charles stood at the altar with Diana, Camilla's presence loomed over their marriage. Unbeknownst to the public at the time, Camilla remained a central figure in Charles's life, casting a shadow over his relationship with Diana and the rest of the royal family. Cracks began to show in their relationship even before they married. Charles remained close to Camilla, and Diana, young and inexperienced in royal life, grew increasingly uncomfortable with this bond. Her insecurities deepened after the wedding, as Charles continued spending time with Camilla, fueling rumors that would later shake the foundations of their marriage. For Diana, the pressures of royal life only added to her personal struggles. She felt isolated within the royal family, unable to confide in anyone about how overwhelmed she was. Although the public adored her, Diana often felt lonely and misunderstood. The royal family had a tradition of keeping emotions private and distant, which clashed with Diana's need for closeness and warmth. On top of everything, Diana began to struggle with her mental health. The constant pressure to appear perfect in public, while grappling with personal doubts and marital issues, took a significant toll. Diana later revealed that she suffered from bulimia during this time, a response to the overwhelming stress she faced. The royal family, bound by tradition and formalities, did not know how to handle her struggles, leaving Diana feeling even more isolated. As she herself said, "I was always on someone else's agenda." Her life seemed to revolve around what others needed her to be: a royal icon, a mother, a wife, but rarely did anyone ask what she needed. While the media portrayed her as a radiant princess, behind the scenes, Lady Diana fought unseen battles. Before Charles married Diana, someone else had already captured his heart. Charles and Camilla had been romantically involved years before Diana entered the picture. Although their relationship didn't lead to marriage at the time, Camilla remained a close friend and confidante of Charles. The depth of their connection was undeniable, and it would soon play a pivotal role in the collapse of Charles and Diana's marriage. From the start, Diana was aware of Charles's ongoing friendship with Camilla, but didn't realize the extent of their bond. As their marriage unfolded, it became clear that Charles's emotional ties to Camilla had never faded. Despite their efforts to present a united front in public, cracks began to appear behind the scenes. Diana became increasingly suspicious of Charles's loyalty, especially as he continued to maintain close contact with Camilla. The media played a huge role in exposing these fractures. Rumors about Charles and Camilla's relationship spread like wildfire, and the public began to suspect that something was amiss. In a now famous moment that shocked the world, Diana confirmed these suspicions during her 1995 interview on the Panorama program. When asked about Charles's relationship with Camilla, Diana famously replied, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." This simple yet devastating statement captured the essence of Diana's struggle. She was never truly alone in her marriage with Charles. Camilla's presence was immense, and Diana felt it deeply. Despite efforts to maintain the facade of a happy marriage for the public, the emotional distance between Charles and Diana grew. Camilla remained a significant factor in their strained relationship. As Charles grew closer to Camilla, Diana felt increasingly isolated, not just from her husband, but from the entire royal family. The warmth and affection she had hoped to find within the royal household were hard to come by. Adding to her struggles was the media's relentless obsession with her. On the surface, she was the beloved people's princess, adored by millions, but the constant scrutiny of her every move by tabloids imposed immense pressure to appear perfect at all times. Diana also battled with her mental health during these challenging years. The pressure to conform to royal expectations, coupled with her deteriorating marriage, deeply affected her emotional well-being. Behind closed doors, Diana struggled with depression and bulimia. She later described the eating disorder as a way of gaining control when everything else in her life felt chaotic. Despite these struggles, Diana found solace in her public life, particularly through her charity work. She dedicated herself to causes close to her heart, such as raising awareness about HIV/AIDS, landmine removal, and helping children in need. These commitments gave Diana a sense of purpose and connection that was missing from her marriage and life within the royal family. It was in these moments visiting hospitals, comforting the sick, and advocating for the marginalized that Diana truly shone. However, her empathy and ability to connect with people set her apart from the rest of the royal family, who prioritized maintaining a certain image over emotional engagement. Diana's natural warmth and global appeal deepened the rift between her and the royal institution, particularly with Charles. As Diana grew more beloved by the public, she felt increasingly alienated from the institution she was a part of. The world's reaction was overwhelming when Diana revealed such personal details about her struggles. Perhaps, just perhaps, this was why Diana began receiving letters from her father-in-law, Prince Philip. At first glance, Philip's involvement seemed surprising, but there was much more than met the eye. While Diana's struggles became more visible, Charles took a different approach to their failing marriage. Publicly, he maintained a composed and controlled image. He continued fulfilling royal duties and appearing at events alongside Diana, even as their relationship crumbled behind the scenes. To the outside world, he presented himself as a responsible prince, but his private life told a different story. Privately, Charles's bond with Camilla only grew stronger. Despite public scrutiny, he continued to rely on her, finding in Camilla the emotional support that was missing in his relationship with Diana. This deepening connection further distanced Charles from Diana, creating a profound sense of emotional abandonment that Diana felt acutely. The royal family had its own way of handling these issues, keeping everything private. Emotional struggles were rarely discussed openly, leaving Diana feeling even more isolated. There was no guidance or support from the family, and she had no one to turn to for advice or comfort. Even their public appearances became more strained. Beneath the smiles for the cameras lay a growing disconnect between Charles and Diana. Observers noted their tense body language, often revealing the underlying tensions. Despite their efforts to maintain appearances for the sake of the royal image, it became increasingly clear that something was deeply wrong. Diana's isolation from both her husband and the royal family played a central role in the unraveling of their marriage. As Charles leaned more heavily on Camilla, Diana found herself fighting on multiple fronts against the royal family, the media, and her own emotional battles. This period marked the beginning of the end of their fairy tale, as the cracks in their relationship became impossible to ignore. Prince Philip, often seen as the stern patriarch of the royal family, had a complicated relationship with Diana. While some viewed him as supportive, others saw him as emblematic of the royal family's rigid traditions. As Charles and Diana's marriage began to falter, Philip stepped in, attempting to mediate the conflict. Philip's letters to Diana reveal a more nuanced side of the prince, one that cared about Diana's well-being, but also upheld the values and traditions of the monarchy. These letters show a man torn between supporting his daughter-in-law and preserving the royal institution. In one letter, Philip wrote candidly about his disappointment in both Diana and Charles for allowing their marriage to deteriorate so publicly. He urged Diana to find common ground with Charles for the sake of their children and the royal family's reputation. However, Philip was not blind to Charles's faults. He expressed frustration at his son's behavior, acknowledging that Charles had not treated Diana fairly. At the same time, Philip also challenged Diana to rise above the difficulties and take responsibility for her role in the marriage. These letters highlight Philip's attempts to act as a mediator, though his tone could sometimes come across as unsympathetic to Diana's unique struggles. While the letters offer a rare glimpse into the private dynamics of the royal family, they also reveal the limitations of Philip's influence. Despite his efforts, the cracks in Charles and Diana's marriage had become too deep to mend. The letters show a family struggling to balance tradition with the emotional realities of modern relationships, a balance they often failed to achieve. The release of these letters has reignited interest in the tumultuous relationship between Diana and Charles. They offer a new perspective on the pressures and challenges Diana faced as she navigated life as a royal. At the same time, the letters shed light on Philip's role within the family, showing a man trying to bridge the gap between tradition and change. As the public revisits this chapter of royal history, the question remains, could the royal family have done more to support Diana? The letters suggest a family deeply rooted in tradition, often unable to adapt to the changing needs of its members. Diana's story continues to resonate, not only as a tale of personal struggle, but also as a reflection of the challenges faced by an institution striving to remain relevant in the modern world. Diana's legacy endures as a symbol of resilience and compassion. Her ability to connect with people, her advocacy for important causes, and her openness about her struggles have left an indelible mark on the world. While her marriage to Charles may have been far from a fairy tale, Diana's life serves as a powerful reminder of the strength of the human spirit and the importance of empathy and understanding. As for Charles, his journey has also been one of growth and reflection. Now married to Camilla, he has taken on the role of king with a renewed sense of purpose. While the shadows of the past linger, both Charles and Diana's stories offer lessons on love, resilience, and the complexities of human relationships. Let me know how this could get to best suit your storyline and vision. You could tweak dynamics such as using these as clues for a more contemporary thriller or focus on classism/internal vs media looking is time cross compared to Diana's time. The divorce between Prince Charles and Princess Diana marked the end of a fairy tale marriage and the beginning of an uncertain new era for the British royal family. During this tumultuous period, Prince Philip played a critical role as a mediator and protector of the crown, leaving a lasting impact on how the family navigated such a public crisis. In an extraordinary move, the Duke of Edinburgh took the unusual step of writing private letters to Diana, offering her guidance and support during some of her darkest moments. These secret letters from Philip to Diana also revealed various aspects of King Charles's actions. In one of the letters, Philip expressed disapproval of Charles's relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, calling it reckless. He wrote that Charles was foolish to risk everything for Camilla. In another letter, Philip stated that neither he nor the royal family approved of either Charles or Diana having extramarital affairs. Though often critical of his son, Philip also expressed sympathy for Diana, recognizing the difficulties she faced due to Charles's prolonged relationship with Camilla. The divorce of Charles and Diana in 1996 was one of the most widely publicized scandals in royal history. While Queen Elizabeth Roman II remained neutral and focused on preserving the monarchy's image, Philip was caught between his loyalty to the institution and his personal concern for Diana. Privately, he maintained communication with her, expressing his worries for her well-being. He acknowledged that, despite her own imperfections, Diana had been deeply harmed by Charles's infidelity. Some of Philip's letters hinted at fears for Diana's safety. These hints fueled long-standing suspicions about the circumstances surrounding her tragic death. According to certain reports, one of the letters allegedly suggested that Charles might have wanted Diana out of his way, potentially implicating him in a sinister plot. Such allegations, though unsubstantiated, have continued to cast a shadow over Charles's reputation. Sources claim these revelations could even lead to legal consequences. Philip also wrote about Diana's relationship with her sons, Princes William and Harry. He was deeply concerned about how their parents' separation affected them. His correspondence often emphasized the need to shield William and Harry from the media frenzy surrounding the family. Diana shared this concern, fiercely protecting her children whenever possible. The relationship between Philip and Diana wasn't always smooth. They had their differences, and Philip did not always agree with how Diana managed her public life. However, his letters reveal a man who, in his own way, sought to keep the family united and support Diana during her struggles. While Charles leaned heavily on Camilla during this time, Philip's private support helped Diana endure some of the most challenging years of her life. Philip's efforts to assist Diana weren't merely acts of personal loyalty. He also aimed to safeguard the institution of the monarchy for the future, especially for William and Harry. His letters, now public, paint a picture of a man who, despite his stern exterior, cared deeply for Diana and stood by her during her most difficult moments. Recent sources close to the palace suggest that King Charles has been deeply affected by these revelations. Questions surrounding his alleged involvement in Diana's tragic fate continue to stir public debate. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. In an era where social media allows rumors to spread quickly and widely, combating misinformation has become a pressing challenge. Like many others, this conspiracy theory serves as a distraction from real issues. For public figures like Michelle Obama, focusing on unfounded rumors diverts attention from her work as an advocate for health education and military families. This reflects the broader challenge of addressing misinformation in today's media landscape, where false narratives can easily gain traction and obscure the truth. Michelle Obama's legacy as First Lady of the United States is one of empowerment, service, and inspiration. Through her initiatives, speeches, and public appearances, she has inspired millions to pursue their dreams, contribute to their communities, and create positive change in the world. Her efforts in health, education, and support for military families have had a lasting impact, and her advocacy for women and girls continues to resonate globally. Her memoir, Becoming, published in 2018, offers readers an intimate view of her life, from her childhood in Chicago to her years in the White House. The book was both a critical and commercial success, selling millions of copies worldwide. It struck a chord with readers, particularly women and Black individuals, who saw in Michelle's story a reflection of their own experiences. The success of the memoir further cemented her status as one of the most influential figures of her generation. In her life after the White House, Michelle Obama remains involved in public service and philanthropy, while also cherishing more private moments with her family. She has stated that she has no interest in running for public office, despite speculation to the contrary. Instead, she focuses on making a difference through her writing, public speaking, and advocacy work. Her legacy is defined not just by her role as First Lady, but also by how she has used her platform to uplift others and inspire change. Michelle Obama's story is one of perseverance, resilience, and hope, and her impact on American society will be felt for generations to come. The royal family of the United Kingdom has long been a subject of public fascination, with its members living under the intense scrutiny of the media and the world. Among them, Prince Edward, the youngest son of Queen Elizabeth Roman II, remains one of the least discussed. Often overshadowed by his more prominent siblings, Prince Edward, the Earl of Wessex, has led a quieter life away from the limelight of royal duties and public attention. Prince Edward's choice of title upon marrying Sophie Rhys-Jones marked a significant departure from royal tradition. While it is customary for male children of the reigning monarch to receive a dukedom upon marriage, Edward was instead granted the title of Earl of Wessex. This decision sparked curiosity and speculation among royal observers. However, this was not a demotion or slight, but rather a personal choice. Inspired by the film Shakespeare in Love, Edward admired the character Earl of Wessex and chose the title as a reflection of his individuality and interests. Edward's personal life and royal contributions have often been understated yet significant. As a child, he had unique opportunities, such as meeting astronaut Neil Armstrong, who inspired him profoundly. His education at institutions like Heatherdown Preparatory School, Gordonstown, and Jesus College, Cambridge, was marked by academic and extracurricular achievements. Despite initially pursuing a career with the Royal Marines, Edward ultimately realized his passion lay elsewhere, leading him to explore the arts and entertainment industry. In the 1990, Edward founded Ardent Productions, an independent television company. Through this endeavor, he sought to establish an identity separate from his royal heritage. Although the company faced challenges and eventually closed, it reflected Edward's ambition and creativity. By 2002, he shifted his focus back to royal duties, committing himself to philanthropy and public service, particularly through the Duke of Edinburgh's Award and initiatives supporting youth and the arts. Edward's marriage to Sophie Rhys-Jones is considered one of the royal family's most enduring and successful unions. The couple faced challenges, including Sophie's ectopic pregnancy in 2001, but persevered, welcoming two children, Lady Louise Windsor in 2003 and James, Viscount Severn, in 2007. Their resilience and dedication as parents have earned them admiration, with Lady Louise overcoming medical challenges early in life. Edward's role within the royal family became more prominent following the death of his father, Prince Philip. As the favored child of both Queen Elizabeth Roman II and Prince Philip, Edward shared a close bond with his parents, particularly his father. Reports suggest Philip trusted Edward and Sophie to handle significant responsibilities as he stepped back from public life. Edward and Sophie's humility, reliability, and dedication have garnered respect from both the public and their royal peers. Amid the mourning for Prince Philip, Edward reflected on his father's profound influence, describing his passing as a loss not only for the family but for the nation. Edward's heartfelt tributes highlighted the values and wisdom Philip instilled in him, ensuring that his legacy endures. Despite the challenges and expectations associated with royal life, Edward has consistently demonstrated his commitment to upholding the monarchy's traditions while charting a path that honors his personal passions and individuality. The story of the British royal family, marked by challenges and triumphs, demonstrates the resilience and dedication of its members. Edward and Sophie have shown exceptional strength as parents, creating a loving and stable environment for their children. Lady Louise underwent surgery to correct her vision, and her family's unwavering support allowed her to overcome this challenge with grace. Over the years, Lady Louise has grown into a confident and talented young woman, excelling in equestrian skills, following in the footsteps of her grandfather, Prince Philip. The birth of their son, James, Viscount Severn, was another significant moment for the family. James was raised in a balanced environment, with his parents carefully ensuring his and Louise's development away from the constant public scrutiny typically associated with the royal family. Sophie and Edward prioritized a private upbringing for their children, shielding them from the spotlight. In recent years, Prince Edward has taken on a more prominent role within the royal family, especially after the death of Prince Philip. Edward has become a key figure in preserving his father's legacy, particularly through his work with the Duke of Edinburgh's award. As active patrons of numerous charitable organizations, Edward and Sophie have shown steadfast commitment to public service and humanitarian causes. Edward's dedication to the royal family has been acknowledged on various occasions, particularly by Queen Elizabeth Roman II, who entrusted him with additional responsibilities during critical times. This trust has solidified his position as one of the royal family's most reliable and hardworking members. Despite rarely being in the headlines, Edward and Sophie have earned the public's respect and admiration for their understated, yet dedicated approach to their royal duties. Their humility, combined with their commitment, has made them respected figures both in the UK and internationally.